We are back here at MetLife Stadium. Raiders won the toss and have deferred. Jim Nantz, Bill Sims, and happy to welcome all season long on the sidelines, Tracy Wolfson.
Thanks, Jim. The Raiders, though, have not fared well when traveling to the East Coast. They have lost 13 straight here when traveling across country, including the last two at MetLife. Dennis Allen decided to change things up a little bit. He had his team come in on Thursday, a day earlier than normal. He said he just wanted to get their bodies right. I spoke with him yesterday. He said he feels fresh. They feel fresh. We'll see if that extra day pays off. Jim?
All right, those 13 straight losses in the Eastern time zone goes back to 2009. There you see it's a perfect day. But in that stretch, they played in the other time zones 21 times, and the Raiders are 11-10. So they've had some road wins, even though they're coming off a couple of dreary 4-12 seasons. Again, they have elected here to defer. The Jets are going to receive Janikowski, who missed the last two preseason games with a quad injury. Will send it down to Salim Hakeem. He steps over, takes it 4 yards deep. And Hakeem, middle of the field, past the 20, out to the 30, and still going strong out to the 40 for a 44-yard return.
Right down,
McGill tackled him.
Right down the middle of the field, Jim. Salim Hakeem is maybe the fastest guy in the NFL, and you can see a little bit of it there. When he sees an opening, what you like about or you want your returners to do, take it straight up the field, don't dodge. Awesome return for the Jets.
The younger brother of Oz Hakeem, who won a Super Bowl ring with the Rams. Geno coming out now. Smith and the Jets. Great starting point at the 40. Chris Johnson gets the call here. We're going to see all three running backs today, we expect. Johnson, the former Titan, gets the start here. Geno's pass on target. Over to the Oakland side of the field at the 44 with David Nelson. Gain 17.
Well, they're going to come out and do a little hurry up in the slot. Nelson goes down. Geno Smith, nice job, looks outside. The defense moves to the outside. That's why David Nelson was wide open inside.
Jets are coming out here with 3 wideouts. Actually make it 4. They've got Curley and Nelson, along with Decker and Salas. And they go to the ground with Chris Johnson, tackled by Woodson, and a gain of 5. Geno Smith started all 16 games his rookie year. They went 8-8, and he showed tremendous improvement, though, that final month of the season. They're hoping to carry that momentum over. The offensive line, a lot of familiar names for him, including the likes of Ferguson and Mangold and Willie Colon.
130!
Second down and 5.
What is that?
False start. Offense. Number 68. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Called him Brian Winters in his second year. You just heard the call there from Craig Rolstad, his first game as an NFL referee. Here's that line, but the newcomers on that right side. Giacomini was a starter for the Seattle Super Bowl champions a year ago. Now on second down and 10, and Geno's pass complete. And a quick burst for a first down is Chris Johnson.
Excellent call by Marty Morningwig, the offensive coordinator. When you expect blitz, they get it. Burris up the middle. They throw the screen to Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson, one of the big reasons why I think they brought him here is for exactly that, the screen game. Marty Morningwig has been great at that in years past. Last year it was not good for the Jets. Look for it to improve dramatically this year.
Carlos Rogers, the cornerback, was hurt on that play, and Thorpe comes in to replace him on this snap. And there's a completion to Cumberland for a pickup of 5. This Raiders defense, led by coordinator Jason Tarver, they went out and bought a defensive front there with the likes of Tuck, Woodley, Antonio Smith, Sims a holdover, Mack the 5th player taken in the draft out of the University of Buffalo, and Woodson in his 17th year. There you see the starting corners, but again, watch Rogers. They got Vick in the game now. Michael Vick takes the snap. And the handoff now to Johnson down to the 20. Vick comes out after one play.
Yeah, that'll get your attention on the defensive side. This muddle huddle, the pace, the Jets trying to go a little quicker. Why? You said it, Jim. The veterans on the Raiders defense, Geno Smith. I said, why do you want the up-tempo offense? I asked him. He goes, man, they got a lot of old guys over there, and we want to take their legs away from them. Excellent first drive so far by the Jets.
And it's a 3rd and 1. Rodgers is back on defense for Oakland. And the handoff goes to Ivory. And he's easily got the first down.
Well, like this, I think Geno Smith really executes and plays better when the tempo is fast, like this for the Jets offense. And it's keeping the defense. Have you noticed the Raiders not doing much on the defensive side, being very careful? They're reacting to what the Jets are doing instead of attacking the offense, and that's one of the reasons why the Jets are having so much success.
Back to Ivory on first down. And he cuts back, and there's a flag down. By the way, this Oakland defense without Nick Roach, and that's a big loss. He suffered a concussion preseason game number 3 at Green Bay, and he's not ready to come back. So they start Burris.
Holding. Offense, number 66. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
Second penalty on the Jets. This one on Willie Colon, and it's a big one.
It is a big one. They had all the situations in their favor so far here today. Willie Colon, number 66, coming around on the pull, and he gets those arms outside. It's not much, but it's enough. Justin Tuck is the man being held.
A lot of shifting around here. The 4 wideouts on the field for the Jets. From the gun, Geno. On 1st and 20. Throws it way down the field and almost caught for a touchdown. Salas had a play on that ball. It was catchable.
Yeah, you got to catch it. Nice job again by Geno Smith. The shifting and the quick movement. He's going to take the snap, looks down the middle, he looks left and turns and puts it right on the money. Salas got both hands on it. Got to completely just go for it. Dive, go in the air, make that catch.
He beat T.J. Carey, the rookie. Had a couple of steps on him and definitely should have had that one. 2nd and 20 now from the 27 of the Raiders. Set up screen, back to Johnson. And he is thrown down by Antonio Smith, the former Houston Texan. A loss of 1. So the Jets had it going good, and then the holding penalty, followed by the drop pass in the end zone.
The opportunity to score, so you look back, you know, always, this is where it counts. The red zone, make those plays. So 2 mistakes by the Jets. On 3rd down here, you got to think as a quarterback, be conservative. You got a field goal try. Pretty easy kick in this stadium with no wind today. Don't take a sack.
3rd and 21. The Raiders quarterback rushers, the likes of Woodley. No one really gets near Smith as he's able to dump it underneath. And they'll be stopped well short of the first with Cumberland. They got it back down to the 18 and a gain of about 11.
Well, for Raider fans, that defense you saw that time and that whole drive was so different from what we saw last year. They brought these defensive linemen in here, Jim, for one reason, so they didn't have to gamble and blitz so much, and it finally paid off for them, even on that 3rd down. 3 rushers, 8 guys back in pass defense, nowhere for Geno Smith to go with the football down the field.
Nick Folk coming out here now after a brilliant season, 33 of 36. And this is from 35 yards. With Quigley on the hold, Purdom to snap it back. And the Jets opening drive yields 3. Hold on, there's a flag out.
Holding. Offense, number 60. 10-yard penalty. Replay. 4th down.
Well, this will make this kick a little more interesting. I'll make it a 45-yard try for Falk. As the Jets came right out and were hitting on everything, and then a series of mistakes.
The Brickashaw Ferguson left tackle. I think that's him on the end. Oh, yeah, he grabbed. He got by him. The pass rusher did that time, and that's why he had to reach out there and grab him. That was Terrell Brown, the corner, on the rush.
So 45 yards it is. Falk this time hooks it through. So they had a drop touchdown. 3 penalties, including a couple of holding calls, but they get out of here with 3. Fantasy football fans, there's still time at the very best site. Create or join a league right now at cbssports.com/football. How do you think the Jets come out of that feeling?
Oh, I think they come out with a lot of confidence. Great pass protection. Geno Smith was in rhythm. They got some guys open. And the Raiders defense, they did what they wanted. They held them to a field goal.
All set up by that 44-yard kick return. Let's see if Murray will do something with it. Yep, he'll take a knee. That's what he'll do with it. And now our chance to see the only rookie quarterback to start day 1, Derek Carr. His chance is coming up in a moment. We're taking the field. Here's Derek Carr with his offensive line.
Yeah, his offensive line all getting him pumped up. They all like him. He's got great rapport with the players. And one of the reasons why, of course, his personality, but he might be the hardest worker on the football team. That endear the players to the quarterback.
Maybe he's pumping them up. Here he goes with his first NFL snap. He sends Reese in motion. They're starting Jones-Drew, and they come out throwing. The pass complete, and that'll be for maybe a yard to Marcel Reese. Call it no gain. Coming out of Fresno State, the 36th pick in the draft, early second round. He led college football last year, big-time college football, with over 5,000 yards and 50 touchdown passes. There is a maturity, that presence you mentioned about him, and intelligence that has this team right now very excited about Carr being their quarterback. They've been looking for an answer with this franchise at that position for a long time. 2nd and 10. And it's Jones-Drew for a gain of about 4 into the arms of Harrison. This offensive line is a rookie starting, Gabe Jackson, 3rd-round pick out of Mississippi State. With Jackson, with Carr, and with Mack on defense, I think the Raiders look like they really hit on their draft this year. Jones-Drew, long-time Jaguar, healthy for the first time in a couple of years. He's been battling foot injuries. He told us up in Green Bay a couple of weeks ago in the preseason, I'm lean, I'm back to the way I used to be. He's very excited to be playing for his favorite team growing up just outside of the Bay Area in Antioch, California. 3rd and 6.
Everybody up near the line of scrimmage. You practice all week getting ready for this, Derek Carr, but it looks different when you're in the stadium and seeing it live for the first time.
Offside. Defense, number 56. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Yeah, they put him about a yard away for the first. Here's the Jets defense. That front, about as good as you'll find in football. Wilkerson, Harrison, Richardson. Davis, really the vocal leader of this defense. And again, this is to watch today, the secondary patchwork. Pryor, their 1st-round pick out of Louisville, starting at safety. 3rd and a yard. And they run straight ahead and challenge that Jets defensive front. And watching the official from the far side, I think they're going to mark him short. That was Jones-Drew with the carry.
Nowhere to run. Excellent run defense that time by the Jets. They got it done with the up-front people, or defensive linemen first. Richardson. Well, the linebackers are the two that just fire in there and make it happen. Demario Davis, speed at the linebacker position. That's what he has. The vocal leader, you said it, Jim, of this defensive unit.
Marquette King, the punter for the Raiders, led the league last year in gross average, 49 yards a punt. He can boom them. This one's to the 26, to Saunders. Jalen Saunders is going to be ruled down near the 30. Sama Young is there on the coverage. Jets offense right back on the field. It's 3-0 New York. First quarter. Bang Theory, time traveling to a new night. Back-to-back episodes. Don't miss Emmy winner Jim Parsons. New season begins Monday, September 22nd, only CBS. Carr with one throw completed for no gain. 3 and out for the Raiders. Here come the Jets. Over to Curley. And Curley is bounced out after a gain of 9, and yet another flag is out. The Jets have already been penalized 4 times. This might be the 5th. Might have been on Decker.
Hands outside.
Holding. Offense, number 87. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
When you put your arms out and you grab the hands outside the shoulder pads, that's where they're gonna call it. In the slot. See that arm on the, it's just outside pulling the jersey. You can see right there, you're holding. Got to keep the hands like an offensive lineman inside.
That's 3 holding penalties on the Jets. And it's 1st and 16. Back at the 24 for Smith. Throws on and he's intercepted. That's Woodson jumping the route and making the pick.
He read the quarterback. The first drive, Geno Smith was looking everything off. What a play by Woodson.
17th year in the league, and he still got it. What a play.
It was a great play. It's a heck of a catch. I don't think Geno Smith was fooled. He drives the football. He thought he could get it in there before Woodson came and made the play. But the old guy, 17 years, just so sly, smart, used his head, baited the quarterback into the throw, and then made the play.
He joins now Darrell Green as the only players to have an interception in 17 consecutive seasons. Green actually got to 19. And from the 28, Carr under center.
What's it?
And a throw on first down. It's open in the middle. It's Streeter. And he stretches it out for a gain of about 8 near the 20. And there's Woodson, the Heisman Trophy winner, who's going to be heading to Canton one day too.
No question. We saw him up in Green Bay, Jim. We talked to him, and he goes, listen, this is no farewell tour. He goes, I can still play at a very high level. We kind of saw that in preseason, and that was an excellent interception like we said before.
Moore to the left, Streeter to the right. 2nd and 2 for the Raiders.
What's it?
Jones-Drew trying the right side, and there's nothing to be found. And again, Demario Davis makes a spirited play for no gain.
Yeah, Demario Davis, the up front people just occupy all blockers. He comes outside free, nobody touching him. And I've already said it, he has the speed. He's the quarterback, kind of the leader of his defense. Nice play by Davis.
James Jones comes in at receiver. The former Packer, he's lined up to the near side. They'll drop the rookie quarterback into the gun on 3rd and 2. Quick toss over to Jones, and he makes the one wiggle that'll pick up the first down.
Excellent play because all the guys standing up. It has to be confusing to an offensive line. So what do? Go outside where there's less people and make it simple for the quarterback and the receivers. Nice call by Greg Olson, the offensive coordinator. That's one way or one answer to the blitz by the Jets.
Their first down of the season sets them up at the 18.
180. What's it?
Up the middle, Jones-Drew through traffic. Taking it near the 13, give him 4.
Yeah, he went behind the left guard that time, Gabe Jackson. And, you know, just talking to the coaches there, they had to get him in there. He's a rookie, played a lot in preseason. He just played so well. They said, hey, let's put him in left guard. They took their left guard, Khalif Barnes, and put him at right tackle to get their 5 best offensive linemen on the field.
You can pretty much pencil in Jackson at that position for about the next 12 years in Oakland. At left guard, he's going to be a good one. Started every game, 51 games in his college career at Mississippi State. 2nd and 6. Open, Reese. And 2 Jets close in on him in a hurry, including Landry. Holds him to 1. David Harris was over there too.
All right, here's third down. What do you do if you're the Jets? Do you blitz and give him another quick, easy throw, or do you try to play coverage and make Derek Carr make a decision on where to throw it?
Raiders trying to take advantage of the Woodson interception.
It's another blitz look by the Jets defense.
3rd and 5. Gets rid of it in a hurry, and it is Streeter streaking to the end zone for the touchdown. And what a block he got from James Jones, and Derek Carr has his first NFL touchdown pass.
Another good play design. The Jets are expecting an inside pass. In other words, something short and quick, but they were not expecting the picks and for Streeter to go outside. You see everybody running. Perfect angles for the Raider receivers to get the blocks. Streeter looked pretty quick, didn't he, Jim, going around that corner?
He had his best career game on this field against the Jets last year when he had 7 catches for 130 and a touchdown. Woodson was the one who set it up with that brilliant interception.
Well, the Jets faked the blitz and were trying to bait him into throwing a short pass inside. Instead, it was short and outside.
Janikowski converts the PAT.
What a start for Derek Carr.
5 for 5 is Carr, and a touchdown. In 60 minutes, they aren't even out of middle school, and they're being recruited already as Division I college quarterbacks. Meet the man developing all this young talent only on 60 Minutes tonight. So the silver and black with their first touchdown on opening week since 2009 when Michael Bush scored one. This time, no big run back as they're all over Hakeem in a hurry. Fails to make it out to the 20. Woodson with the diving pick. Set up Streeter's sprint to the end zone. The Jets will begin this drive at the 15. Down 7-3. It's Ivory running wide. And again, it's Woodson manning that side for no gain. Thursday Night Football. It debuts here this week. We're going to have it. That great rivalry, the Steelers and the Ravens. CBS and the NFL Network getting it started with that AFC North divisional showdown down in Charm City. We look forward to bringing it to you here in 4 days' time. As you see Justin Tuck, the longtime Giant who signed with the Raiders in the offseason, digging in here, 2nd and 10. And Gino's going to run with it. And it looked like a broken play. Stacy McGee tripped him up after a gain of a yard.
Well, you know they're going to have running plays in there for Geno Smith. He ran very well. Oh, he got caught by the snap. That's what it is. So that throws your thinking, the handoff and everything. Good job just reacting and just taking it back up inside and don't lose yards.
Michael Vick, who has been in on one play on the opening drive. Howell come onto the field for the Jets for the first time. 3rd down. 3rd, we'll call it 8. And this time, Hurley is there to make the catch for the first down at 36, gain of 19.
Tremendous protection up front. The offensive line of the Jets is very strong. One of the reasons why they have a chance to have a good year. But Hurley fakes like he's going down the middle. Nobody sees him breaking outside, and he waits to the last second to look. And Geno Smith, good timing, puts it right on the money. That was a play Antonio Gates created in the NFL. Look down the middle, then turn out the last second. Now everybody does it.
All 3 running backs in on this one. And it's Ivory up the middle to about the 43 and a pickup of 7.
So we've seen the quarterback in there, Michael Vick. We've seen 4 wide receivers, 3 tight ends. So they're really mixing it up, trying to keep this Raiders defense off balance.
Second down, Foss and Chris Johnson into Raider territory and a first down. Tackled by Woodson. Looks like the old wishbone days down in Texas.
Yeah, Barry Switzer would be proud, that's for sure. You do not see the pitch really worked that often in the NFL because there's just too much speed, but they caught him off balance, a good blocking scheme, and that's what you want Chris Johnson for. Screens and outside runs.
Darrell Royal, Emery Boullard, they'd also be proud of that. The old wishbone operators and coaches. Here we go. First down, and Smith ends up losing about 3 as Rodgers comes to make the tackle, a loss of 2. So the Raiders, who have had struggles week 1, having won only once out of the last 11 years, have their first week 1 touchdown in the first quarter since 09 and lead at 7-3.
My sweet summer is gone. My sweet summer is gone. Now my sweet summer is gone.
Back to football, where football ended last season 7 months ago. Here was Super Bowl 48 on this field. Starting the second quarter, and a 2nd and 12 for the Jets. And tomorrow, the rookie tight end out of Texas Tech has his first catch.
You know, the one thing about this Raider defense, I kind of mentioned it earlier, Jim. You talked about all the free agents they brought in, the defensive line. They wanted to simplify their defense. They did so much last year, they made mistakes. When you simplify it, what happens, you don't have to think as much. And when you don't think a lot out there, you can just be a better athlete. And we're seeing them react pretty well to the football right now.
It's 3rd and 8, and the Raiders are pointing at the Jets.
False start. Offense. Number 66. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Well, the Jets with the turnover and all these penalties, that's now their 6th penalty.
Yeah.
And we're just 1 play into the second quarter. And the Raiders, who have a history of being flagged more than anyone, have not drawn one yet.
5-5-6. Don't go. 5-2. Banana.
Makes it 3rd and long. 3rd and 13 from midfield. From the pocket, looking for other options. Smith will take off with it. Wide open field.
Man.
And he's got a first down until finally Woodson closes in on him. But a scramble for 17 by Geno Smith.
Good decision by Geno Smith. He has Jeremy Curley down the field once he moves, but he makes the decision. And right here he could have thrown it, but he sees nobody. It's safer to run, but I'd say this, that is a big hit. And I said to you during the commercial, Jim, a lot of runs by Geno Smith here early in the game. You've got to be careful in this league, letting that quarterback do too much of that.
Yeah, taking a lot of hits already.
But he ran extremely well late in the year for this offense.
1st and 10. And it's Powell for 4.
Let's go back. That defensive line of the Raiders, I would say so far, 0 pressure on Geno Smith in passing, in all of his passes, but especially in obvious passing situations. He's getting plenty of time to throw that football.
There's Tuck, who had nearly 60 sacks in his career with the Giants and won a couple of rings. And he addressed his teammates last night. Gave him the pregame talk. 2nd and 6. And again, very little pressure. Leads to this completion. Down to the 4. Maybe the 3 is Jeff Cumberland.
Well, here's what happens. Curley comes in, and he's going to stop and go back out, and here comes Cumberland behind. So Geno Smith does a good job of not reacting too fast to the defense, had patience, and once again, tremendous protection so he could find the second receiver across the middle.
Picks up 26, and 1st and goal from the 3. Chris Johnson runs right into Tuck for no gain. Tuck a little slow to get up. He went on a recruiting trip out to the Raider Nation the same time as Antonio Smith and Lamar Woodley. Now they need him to do something. To see Michael Vick split out wide to the left. In a slot to the left, actually. Second and goal. And Smith taking off with it. And he is crushed. The ball is out at the 3, and it looks like the Raiders may have recovered. C.O. Moore hit him, and Oakland has recovered. And you're right, another big hit on the quarterback.
Look, the effort is great, but you got to decide and know when you cannot beat these defensive players when you're running as a quarterback.
T.J. Carey, the rookie from Ohio University, with the recovery. All turnovers are reviewed, and they're now taking a look to see if Geno Smith's knee was down. It is not a fumble.
Well, down by contact. That's what we got to look at here. When his knee hits the ground, was there contact? The contact came, and then that's when he fumbled. I think it's a fumble.
We're bringing in Mike Carey, our new rules expert, the longtime, well-respected NFL referee. Mike, what do you see here?
Go, Mike. Go, Mike.
Jim, Phil, this is one that's very, very tight. Look closely at the ball. When his shin hits down, you can see the corner of the ball still stable. In my opinion, it's down by contact. Let's see what happens. I think that he will make the call stand.
Well, it's going to stay with the Raiders. It stays as it was ruled on the field. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, good job, Mike. You look good today. Nice tie. It's always important when you go on TV, right, Jim? But, you know, that was the thing. Yeah, his knee, but when he slides, he's going head first, so he's not giving himself up. And the fact that he went head first when the contact comes, that's why they ruled it a fumble.
T.J. Carey on the recovery. And the rule explained by Mike Carey. First and 10, and Carr has the completion again to Streeter. And a flag is out on the sideline.
I think this is one of the reasons why Derek Carr won this job, was a throw just like that. We saw it last week against the Seattle Seahawks.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 39. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is a first down.
And the result is a gain of 17, and Darren McFadden's coming in for the first time.
These back shoulder throws and just the chemistry it looked like existed last week between Carr and the receivers. They were making tough catches. He was throwing it in tight spots, and that's what you need on the offensive side in the NFL. You got to have those type of throws.
So he gets it out of that danger zone back at the 4 or 5. And the handoff to Reese, who had a monster game here last December, but a beautiful play by Calvin Pryor, the Jets' first rounder. For all the outsiders, misfits, true originals, CBS presents a new series. This pure genius inspired by a true story, Scorpion, premieres Monday, September 22nd, only CBS. You know, Reese, who just ran that one for no gain, had 123 on the ground here this last December against the Jets. The only Pro Bowler on the Raider roster a year ago.
Watch it!
Second and 10, they fake it to McFadden, and middle of the field, the completion to Leon Hart for the first down.
Nice throw by Derek Carr. Watch what he does. He's under pressure. The fake, he can get outside the pocket and just whips it sidearm right underneath Muhammad Wilkerson on the money for the first down.
How about welcome to the NFL with 7 for 7 to start your career and a touchdown.
Well, you can see he's gaining confidence, and the coaches are gaining confidence. They're starting to let him look down the field.
And there's his first incompletion. It went right through the hands of Reese. Of course, Derek Carr at Fresno State just posted incredible numbers. The younger brother of the former #1 overall pick, David Carr, the first pick in Houston franchise history.
I think what's interesting, a no huddle, no verbiage offense at Fresno State. Now, under the center more, a lot of verbiage, a lot of words have to be said about these play calls, and he's made a tremendous adjustment.
Second and 10. And somebody was offsides as it goes through the hands of Holmes.
Offside. Defense, number 91.
Richardson.
5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Well, they have a little mistake here. He changes the play. The center's late with the football. Doesn't throw it where he likes it. He's upset about everything. So,
He's got a free play, and come on, guys.
yeah, didn't take advantage
Go
of
ahead
it.
and take advantage of it.
But again, they thought it was blitz. They were throwing a wide receiver screen.
What's it?
2nd and 5. McFadden. He's got room, and he's got a first down. And a rush of 7 going behind Austin Howard, the right guard who was with the Jets the last 3 years. Well, here you go, David Carr. He just took a beating down in Houston as they were forming a franchise. He had no protection. He was sacked 249 times his first 5 years, his brother, who ended up playing 2 different stints here with the Giants as a backup quarterback.
Set. What?
It's Streeter. It's quickly becoming his favorite target, gain of 4. So how did David Carr debut? The Texans began their NFL franchise mark with an opening win against the Dallas Cowboys, and David threw for 2 touchdowns. The Texans won that game 19-10. What a splash that was. And by the way, David Carr's first or final NFL completion was on this field, the same field where his brother got his first completion. 2nd and 6. And it's McFadden just across the 50. Yeah, this was at the end of December 2012. His last throw was a completion to Martellus Bennett. Now his brother comes back on this field, and he's off to a hot start.
Yeah, off to a terrific start. And the easy throws gave him confidence, let him settle down. And now this Jet defense, the last few runs, you can see the Oakland offensive line a little more in rhythm and showing some of that power.
It's 3rd and 3.
Start left. Start left. Set. What?
Comes the blitz. Carr gets it away. He is almost intercepted. Should have been by Pryor. It almost went rookie to rookie. Pryor was already thinking about one cut he would need to make to daylight.
Well, it was a good job by the Jets. They came with the blitz. The Raiders pick it up, but it unsettled the quarterback. You can see Derek Carr was searching where to go with the football, wasn't sure the blitz was going to be picked up, and he really got away with one there that time. That was a touchdown if Pryor makes the catch.
Yeah, I think Pryor already is trying to figure out how he's going to make one move. One move, and then it would have been clear sailing for 50. King is in to punt for the 2nd time. And Jalen Saunders lets that one bound into the end zone. Just a net of 29. Geno Smith's thrown a pick and lost a fumble. His team's down 7-3. We're back. The touchback to the 20. I tell you, Andre Holmes misplayed that. He was out of position. Should have been able to down that punt.
Yeah, you got to go back to the 1-yard line. That's where you got to go. He was on the 5.
Johnson hit right away by Burris for 1.
You get them backed up inside the 5, Jim. We all know it limits play calls. You got to be more careful. Makes it easier for your defense. Field position. That's why coaches get upset. That's why Bobby April was upset. Jets trying to go back to this hurry-up offense that gave them such rhythm, and they were very productive doing it too.
Back inside.
2nd and 9. And that pass incomplete. He was going to Chase Amaro, and Tyvon Branch on the coverage.
Yeah, so far in this game, Geno Smith is being protected extremely well in the pass game, but his running, wow, we talk about it all the time. When you talk about Colin Kaepernick, RG3 down in Washington, you've got to run and protect yourself. He has not done a very good job of that today.
It's 3rd and 9, and Bilal Powell is the running back.
A little different look this time for the Raider defense.
There's Decker with his first grab as a Jet, but it's not for much. A 3-and-out for New York.
Yeah, that's a call that the Jets like to do, Marty Morningwig. Third down and long, a lot of times they will go to screens just because they don't want to put the pressure on a young quarterback, their offensive line, and see if they can catch the defense in a blitz. They did not that time, and that's why it didn't work.
Ryan Quigley, who was the Jets punter from week 3 last year on, returns again this year. Didn't catch that one. Flies to the 40, and it's down to about that spot. Inside 6 minutes to go, first half, after a 36-yard punt. The 36th pick in the draft is about to come back out onto the field. Back at MetLife, Jim Mansfield sends Tracy Wolfson. The Raiders lead it. They have not given the football away once, have not been penalized once, and have not allowed a sack. And a good starting point here at the 41.
180! What's it?
That's Jones Drew. And a helmet flies off after a gain of about 3. What about this Raider offense?
Well, good job. Second down, going in to score. They throw a quick pass, gets it in a manageable third down, and watch the blocking outside. Rivera, James Jones, the wide receiver. Streeter catches it and just outruns everybody to the end zone. Said it before, well designed, good game plan.
2nd and 7. Goes to a second option here. It's Jones Drew, who scoots ahead, keeps his balance for 2 as you'll watch that Streeter touchdown. I had talked about how the Raiders have struggled week 1. They've lost 10 of their last 11. They've gotten off to these horrible starts in these opening games, and that touchdown was significant because they have not been doing anything in these week 1 first quarters.
Well, the Raiders got to feel good about how stable their football team is looking. The offense under control, the defense bending but not breaking, making those big plays, and that's why they brought in so many new players, Jim, during this offseason.
3rd and 5. McFadden able to block Pace for a moment, and Carr just wisely throws it away as Pace got back up on his feet and applied the pressure.
Well, you know what happened? The Jets tricked them that time. They're all up in there thinking it's going to be a blitz, but they play coverage. Oh, that was a good move to the left, but Derek Carr was looking to his right. Nobody was open, and he does a good job just throwing it away. Jets defense, big series for them, and they came through.
King. Good hang time, but only travels to about the 20. 35-yard punt. Pryor almost had the theft that could have been 6. 7-3 Oakland. The Jets will take over at their own 20. They've had it inside of the other 20. 2 red zone drives, managing only 3 points.
Opportunities have been there. We talked about it. The missed touchdown throw where they had a chance, fumbling, going in to score, and all the penalties.
And a dropped interception could have been a touchdown. Pump fake going to the right side, wide open. And it's Decker. Decker with a stiff arm, able to carry it out to about the 45 and a gain of 25.
Really, really good play. They block it up, and Geno Smith is looking for the touchdown to his left. It's not there. The defense is back. Then he comes to the right side and throws a beautiful ball to Eric Decker, who's faking like he's going long, and then comes back and makes the catch. Geno Smith said Eric Decker, very precise, excellent route runner, and of course he is sure-handed too.
First and 10. Play action fake. Down the middle, open, and the pass was too steep for Cumberland, who had plenty of room to run with. Had that been on target.
Oh man, it's another missed opportunity, and little crowd right in front of Geno Smith. That makes him just deliver the football. He's got a high release anyway, and when he does miss, he usually misses high, but really couldn't step into it, Jim, And that's why I think the biggest reason why the football was out of the reach of Cumberland.
Express! Set!
From under center, 2nd and 10. Ivory. Slam down after 2. Mel Decker coming over from the Broncos after back-to-back 80-plus catch seasons. Over 1,000 each of those years, over 10 touchdowns. Chris Johnson, Michael Vick. Well, as a new right tackle, Giacomini.
Giacomini doing a good job. This offensive line got a little push that last throw, but otherwise they are winning the battle up front.
3rd and 8. Raiders have put very little pressure on the quarterback. And again, Smith rolling out with it, trying to get to the first down marker, and he may have found it. Thea Powell threw a key block that helped his quarterback get right to the spot for the first down.
Now, it's one thing the Jets do that I love. Geno Smith takes deep drops. So when there is pressure, nice job of seeing the first down marker and gets to it. But when he takes those deep drops, when there is pressure, somebody kind of breaks through, he just can casually just move up or out of the pocket and get away from whoever's putting the pressure on him.
He stumbles, got pressure on him, got away from Woodley. He was close to being out of bounds when he threw it, incomplete. Coming up, the Verizon halftime report. JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowher. All the latest scores and highlights, and a special preview of the debut of Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network coming up on Verizon halftime report.
You think I'm not even trying to be funny, but Geno Smith, you got to look and say, hey, he could be getting tired. It's a lot of running around, the energy you use in the first game of the year. And this drive, he is moving around a lot. Stumbled that time as he was trying to take off.
2nd and 10. And that is caught by Salas. Tough grab, but able to make it for a first down. Picks up 13.
Yeah, once again, plenty of space to throw the football. Look at the throwing lane that he has. I'm watching some of these players. Jets offensive lineman, Geno Smith. A lot of guys walking around with their hands on their hips.
Well, I thought the 2-minute warning had arrived, but instead the play goes, and it's Ivory for 11. Bumped out by Branch. They'll have a first down. Coming out of the 2-minute warning, Ivory with his best gallop of the day for 11 and a first. Dennis Allen's team has seen the Jets now move inside the 25 for the 3rd time in this game. Got a minute and 54 to go in the half. And on first down, open is Cumberland. And he's out after a gain of 8, pushed out by C.O. Moore. Pretty far out of bounds.
Sure was. Tired defensive front for the Raiders. They're trying to substitute, but getting zero pressure on Geno Smith. The Jets can take it in here for a score and get the lead. It kind of washes away all the mistakes and missed opportunities they've had here in the first half.
2nd and 2. Smith able to get free from Moore. Take off inside. Up down at the 10. This time he slides.
Wow, what a move in the pocket, though. The Raiders finally give them something different. It's a blitz. Here comes Burris, unblocked, and cannot bring Geno Smith down. He saw him, waited, quick footwork in the pocket. What did Geno Smith say last year? I finished the year at 205 pounds. This year he's 220 pounds, stronger, ran more during the offseason. He's quicker, and you can see it the way he's worked in the pocket here today.
They mark it at the 11. And a new set of downs. And he's got the hook up with Curley for a gain of 6.
No hurry here for the Jets offense. Use the time. The crowd gets nervous. Hey, look.
Vick's
in. They got 3 timeouts. Michael Vick in there. Always be on high alert. Could be a decoy.
Oh, direct snap to Johnson, who tosses it to Vick. He throws to the end zone. And he had an open man. He had Decker wide open.
Yep. Didn't get out of the way. In other words, as he threw the ball, his body was in the way a little bit. That's why the football sailed left. Here comes Michael Vick. Geno Smith is going to go in the flat, and Decker to the back of the end zone. Geno Smith's covered. There's Decker. And Michael Vick just couldn't get his body squared up enough where he could rip through the throw and put it on target.
Now a 3rd and 4. And a timeout called by the Jets. With 34 seconds to go in the half. And again, the Verizon halftime report, led by James Brown, is coming up with all the scores and highlights, including Jacksonville's big first half performance in Philadelphia.
You know, Jim, here you got this 3rd down situation. If I was Geno Smith, if you come up there and it doesn't look like it's going to be a blitz, I would be very patient in my decision making. In other words, you got to just think, they're not going to pressure me. I'm going to have extra time to throw. So if you have to, move around and then make the play.
They'll take it from under center. They can pick up a first at the 1, bring in the fullback, Bohannon.
Looks like it could be a blitz by the Raiders.
Shovel pass to Johnson in traffic, and he's able to shake off the contact and find the end zone for the touchdown.
What a call. That I couldn't even see the shovel pass. The blitz by the Raiders got there fast. Geno Smith. Oh man, Justin Tuck is right there to make the play, but it catches him by surprise. And a good job by Chris Johnson fighting his way into the end zone.
Yeah, he fought off Woodson, who was at about the 1. And he carried him with him into the end zone.
The Raiders did change up. They weren't going to sit back that time. They were going to try to make it happen. The Jets had the right call for it.
Extra point by Falk is good. Well-played drive engineered by Geno.
Well, that takes away all the missed opportunities. It makes you go in the locker room and feel better. Look to the outside. Justin Tuck unblocked. Oh, that was close. Watch Justin Tuck here at the end. He throws his arms up. And Geno Smith knows it's the way it is in this league. It's always close.
I think Tuck realizes he almost could have made a play on knocking the ball out of Geno's hands. It was that close.
You know, first off, I should have known there was something different. Geno Smith was under the center. So there was a reason why instead of the shotgun. Because it's easier to sell the shovel pass when you're underneath instead of in the shotgun formation. Good play against the blitz. I told you that's one of the answers the Jets like to do. If they think you're going to blitz, instead of trying to who's going to block who, they like to throw screens to take advantage of those situations. And that shovel pass fits into that screen category.
Chris Johnson has shown a couple of times in this half he still has that speed. That's his first September touchdown since scoring on this field back in 2010 against the Giants. With all those great years he had at Tennessee, including a 2,000-yard season. A liner. And Murray is able to pick it up. Oh boy, with 26 seconds to go in the half. The Raiders, who have been mistake-free for this half, almost made a big one there.
Watch Justin Tuck, 91. Oh, man, you got to kick him out.
See how Mokosi came to knocking that down right away?
Yep, I think the Jets got a little confused on who was blocking who. Brian Winters coming across could have kicked him out. It happened so fast, he pulled up inside.
So the Raiders are not going to do anything crazy here after Latavius Murray mishandled that kickoff. Just a reminder, if they needed one, they'll take a knee and go to the locker room.
Well, this will give the Jets emotionally, what a lift for them to score that touchdown after everything that went against them in the first half. And you go in the locker room like, wow, we escaped, and now let's go out there and get the job done.
The Jets actually had 231 yards of offense in that first half.
Raider defensive front, Jim. No pressure on the quarterback.
They spent a lot of money on bringing in all those free agents in the offseason. A lot of veterans like those two right there, Tuck and Smith and Woodley as well, but no pressure in that first half. Let's go down to Tracy.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Let's talk about your rookie quarterback in his first start. A solid half. What did you like from him?
Well, I think he's controlling the offense. He's getting us in and out of the huddle, putting us in good plays. I think he's done a nice job. He made a nice check on the touchdown. So Derek Carr's been playing well.
Thanks a lot. Jim?
Well, that's the end of the first half with the score. The Jets 10, the Raiders 7. Back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Jets lead it. Scoring a touchdown on that last minute of the first half to take the lead at the intermission at 10-7. Let's take a look at the DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam. And the Jets touchdown, Geno Smith, shovel pass, Chris Johnson, who was able to really escape Charles Woodson. Had a play on him there just outside of the one. Our first themes of the game, Carr, Smith, and the Jets secondary. What have you seen in the first half?
Well, I'll just deal with the quarterbacks right here. Derek Carr, really smooth first half for him. I think the Jets changed their defense. They're going to make him throw the football down the field, I think, here in the second half. And Boomer Esiason was right at halftime. Geno Smith is extremely aggressive and does not look like the same quarterback that we saw last year. You can see tremendous growth in what he has done this offseason to get ready.
So the Raiders will be receiving the second half kick. Raiders special teams didn't really come up big in that first half. They allowed that 44-yard opening kick return that led to a field goal. They had two punts that ended up putting the Jets on the 20-yard line. One was a touchback that could have been down perhaps deep, and the other one was a short punt by King that set up that touchdown drive, 12-play drive by the Jets. It's Murray from the 2. And he's still going. They get their own big kick return. Oakland out to the 41. Let's go down to Tracy Wolfson.
Well, thanks, Jim. You guys mentioned it. Geno Smith looking a lot different than last year. Rex Ryan telling me he's happy with what he's seen, but the mistakes, the missed opportunities, the penalties have to stop. And he said the number one key in the second half, protect the football. Guys?
It was a 38-yard kick return. Thank you, Tracy, by Latavius Murray. He's their third-team running back. He was out all of last year. And from under center, Carr, who completed his first 7 throws of this game. Oh, and the ball kicked right back to Carr. The football follies to open up the third quarter. Somehow, the ball came out of the hands of Jones-Drew, and he kicked it into the air right into the arms of Carr.
Quentin Coples gets in the backfield before he can be blocked by the pulling offensive lineman Howard. And how about that? You said it, Derek Carr in the right spot. Huge break again for the Oakland Raiders.
Look at Coples headline him, clothesline him, and it's a loss of 11. That's one you haven't seen before. Second and 21. Wilkerson was across that line. Was he drawn off?
Delay a game. Offense, number 4, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
All right, the play clock violation first. So it'll be second and 26 for the Raiders.
I think the Raiders, on offense, this Jets defense at the end of the first half was not blitzing. Why? Because they were tired of seeing all those pick plays and screens outside that hurt them. Greg Olsen, the offensive coordinator. So the Jets let your pass rush, your front 4 go there and see if Derek Carr and these receivers can throw and catch the football outside.
Olsen's going to keep his quarterback in the shotgun, setting up a screen, ball tapped around, and a Raider comes up with it. It's Gabe Jackson, the rookie left guard. I don't know how many people had him as a wideout in their fantasy football leagues, but Gabe Jackson has a catch for a yard.
Not many, but how about all the defensive linemen for the Jets read the screen? Every single one of them. Look at it. The Wilkerson, Richardson, all of them out there. Harrison, all ready to make the play, tip the pass, make the tackle.
3rd and 25, and look at the Jets showing just 2 down linemen as others approach. And Carr, zigzag, intended for more, who has been held without a catch.
Since it's 3rd and 25, look at everybody standing up. Who's going to be the blitzers? It makes a quarterback nervous. I don't care if you've been in the league for 10 years, because it's 3rd and 25. The defenders were all back 20 yards. Nothing for the offense to do.
King steps into this one. His best punt of the game. And Saunders has it at the 24, 49-yard punt. So after a punt by Jones-Drew, the punt by King sets up the Jets at their own 24 with a 10-7 lead. Jets in that first half, most yards of any half since last September. It's 4-1 basically in yardage. Raiders at 68 for the game. Chris Johnson breaks a couple of tackles and able to squirt ahead for 11.
You look at that right side, you want to run the football. Willie Colon, Giacomini, 66 and 68, just push everybody to the outside, and Chris Johnson does a good job waiting to see a little lane and shoots in between the tacklers.
What do you think of the look of Chris Johnson?
Looks pretty quick. Didn't get to see hardly any of him in the preseason, but you use him sparingly. They got 3 good running backs, the Jets, so they all should be able to get their carries and hopefully not get beat up too much.
Go right back to him, and here he goes again for another 11. Back-to-back 11-yard rushes. Johnson, who's been 6 years in the league before this, all 6 were 1,000-yard seasons. Only the 6th player to ever achieve that. One of them was a 2,000-yard year.
The double team by Brian Winters and Nick Mangold just moved the defensive lineman out of position so far that didn't even have to worry about blocking the linebackers because they could not get there.
And once again, they go to Johnson. This time, Tuck is able to get him behind the line for a loss of a yard. It's not too late, by the way, to play NFL.com fantasy. Looks like Tuck is hurt, by the way. Enjoy free new mobile apps. You can join, you can draft, and you can play from anywhere. NFL.com/fantasy. Tuck made the tackle, but he has not gotten up. We'll step aside.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. FedEx One Rate. Simple flat rate shipping with the reliability of FedEx. And by Kelley Blue Book. Find out what you should pay for your next new car at KBB.com.
We're back. Tuck was able to walk off after being shaken up. 2nd and 11. For the Jets. Pass too high. And a flag's thrown in the secondary. He was trying to hit Decker.
Holding, contact, pass by.
Holding, defense, number 24. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
And that is the first penalty of the game against Oakland.
Well, we had so many flags thrown during the preseason with defensive holding, illegal contact. I don't think that was Woodson. I think that was the corner,
Rogers.
Carlos Rogers, that did it.
Gives the Jets a first down at the Oakland 49. There's Decker, and he's hit by Mack. We haven't had a lot of opportunities to talk about Khalil Mack. Now, a lot of people say, wait a minute, pronounce his name correctly. We talked to him. He wants to be known not as Khalil Mack, Khalil Mack. And I think that's going to be a name you're going to be hearing about a lot about for a long time. Fifth pick out of Buffalo. 2nd and 5. They're in on him a hurry. Ivory walloped right after the handoff by Pat Sims and Antonio Smith.
Yeah, two guys finally got in the backfield to make a play.
They got Tuck coming back in to that defensive front after sitting out 2 plays.
Justin Tuck, when he made that tackle before he landed hard on the left side, looked like he hurt his ribs. At least that's where he was grabbing. But back into play, and they need to get some pressure from this defensive line in these third down situations.
We've not had a sack from either side in this game. 3rd and 7. Going for Decker, and the pass is on target with a flag thrown into boot. Out of bounds at the 27, and it might be going against Decker. OPI, offensive pass interference.
Pass interference, offense, number 27. 10-yard penalty, replay, 3rd down.
Well,
he got the number wrong again. He meant 87.
Another point of interest, so they want to make sure they're calling these penalties. Here's 87 in the slot. He extended that right arm, and that's why they threw the flag. They're going to call the defensive players be more or stricter, and they're going to do the same to the wide receivers or receivers. If you push off, they're going to throw that flag.
2nd penalty of the game against Decker, the pass interference and a holding call. Yeah, it's a big point of emphasis this year. 3rd and 17.
Good bit blitz pickup by the Jets, too, to get that pass.
And they spread it out, and they go across the middle, and Johnson's thrown down right away by C.O. Moore. And the Jets' drive comes to an end at midfield. Quigley, and there is T.J. Carey, who had a couple of big returns in the preseason. I think the Raiders are looking for anything too heroic out of Carey this deep in the field. And that punt out of bounds near the 13. 37-yard boot. 9 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Each team's had it once in this half. It's 10-7 Jets. There's Steve Milner out with an ankle, might be back next week. Of course, they're just decimated in that secondary. Cromartie's gone. Patterson, who went AWOL, was released. They had McDougal, a rookie they thought a lot of, out with an ACL. So it's a mess, but they've held up all right in this one.
Well, the Raiders not really able to attack this secondary the way a lot of people thought, or I thought of.
Carr would like to challenge him right now. And there's the pass. And the Raiders are looking around wanting a flag, but they're not going to get it. It was Denarius Moore. And defended there by Antonio Allen.
Excellent job by Antonio Allen, bottom of the screen. This was a safety for the Jets. The injuries, so they move him to corner. That was excellent coverage down the field. Rex Ryan just says the guy knows how to play football. When the football's in his area, he can make the catch and make the play.
Looked like pretty tight coverage to me.
Really, really well done.
180!
2nd and 10.
What's it?
And McFadden, he started to slip as he was trying to make a cut. Trying to work around Darren Walls, and it'll set up a 3rd.
Yeah, now you got it favors the Jets. It's a situation they can fake blitzes, they can give a different look, and it puts the Raiders on guard. Hard to just let it go and run this offense because you're worried about the blitz, the crowd noise, and a rookie quarterback.
They haven't done much since the 1st quarter. It's a 3rd and 7. Boy, do they have the Jets. That defensive front stacked up, ready to barrel down on the quarterback, and here they come, the first sack of the game. And it belongs to DeJuan Landry.
really good job. They occupy all the blockers, and then Landry reads it and then gets up the middle. Times it. That's what blitzing's all about. Occupy. Oh, they got 2 free runners at the quarterback, and Derek Carr, I know he's a rookie. When they line up like that, you cannot block them all. It's got to be a quick throw to the outside.
The Raiders had a punt blocked here last year, including one that was returned for a touchdown by Antonio Allen. But King is able to get this one out of there. Lands at the 50, takes a backward bounce, and now goes back the other way to the 48. 47-yard punt. That got the job done. But the Jets are set up at a good spot near midfield as they put up the first sack of the afternoon.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Bose, official sound of the NFL.
Okay, the Jets are coming out in the shotgun, mid-third, up 3. Smith is going to fall for maybe a yard into the arms of Antonio Smith.
Couple plays by Antonio Smith here in the second half. He's a inside defensive lineman, high energy, came from Houston, and look, he never takes a play off. That's the one thing about him. You saw it in Houston. I've seen it here with the Raiders here today and during the preseason.
He comes out. C.J. Wilson on that defensive line now for Oakland. They call it 2nd and 10. Play action. And Smith able to release it to Decker. And Decker's out of bounds after a big gain to the 31. I tell you, Khalil Mack almost got to Smith.
You said it. He comes in the backfield. Chris Ivory dives. You can't do that. You got to attack him and stay on your feet. But nice job by Dino Smith. Hangs in there, softens up, and actually goes backwards just a little bit to make that throw to Eric Decker.
He's hit his last 7 throws. That one went for 21.
His footwork inside the pocket has been great today.
And another completion. This one to Curley. A couple of Raiders surround him after a gain of 6.
You know, this Raider defense, you got to sit there and go, if you're the defensive coordinator, Jason Tarver, the offense is not doing much. If you got a few things up your sleeve, now is the time to bring them out. If the Jets score, you got to look at what the Raiders offense done and just go, man, this could be tough to come back even from a 10-point deficit.
2nd and 4. It's Ivory. Hopscotching around and inside the 20 for another first.
Talked about it earlier, Jim. This running back crew of the Jets, Chris Ivory, Bilal Powell, and then Chris Johnson. It's a pretty good trio. You've got a little bit of everything. When you talk about Chris Ivory and Bilal Powell, they can be power runners, break tackles, and then Chris Johnson, you know, the speed brings another dimension to this offense.
We still got Ivory in the backfield on first down. He gets the handle. And we got a flag thrown in near the line as they were able to take Ivory back for a loss of 3. Wow. Tuck may have been held.
Personal foul. Face mask. Offense. Number 66. 15-yard penalty. Still first down.
On Willie Colon. I believe we got a special coming up on Wednesday night at prime time. 9 o'clock Eastern time. Celebrating NFL football in classic moments in prime time. Under the Lights. We'll see in Baltimore Wednesday night on CBS.
Willie Colon, very aggressive offensive lineman, the right guard for the Jets. I think that's 3 penalties so far on him today.
Makes it 1st and 25. Stepping away from the pressure and taking off. Smith, the outside. Finds a few extra yards, tiptoeing out of bounds after a nice gain.
Talked about his footwork in the pocket. They got to be ecstatic what he's the presence and what some of the things he's doing. Pressure from the outside, gets up, resets, wants to throw it, and then another good decision. Run with the football. We said it, Jim. He ran well late in the year last year and extremely active with his feet. Something he really didn't do in college is run. We're seeing more of it here in the NFL.
Well, he had some of those Raider defenders flat-footed like Terrell Brown. Got to be a little more aggressive. 12-yard gain and a timeout called as he was about to face the expiration of the play clock.
But isn't that interesting? He didn't want to run in college, wanted to be a pocket guy, and the offense was kind of set up that way. But he came here to the Jets, and it took him a while to realize, hey, that's got to be part of your game. And what did he say? That this West Coast offense they run here with the Jets under Marty Morningwig, they expect the quarterbacks to be active, to move, and to pick up a few first downs every game by running the football.
That offensive line of the Jets got 3 9-year veterans: Ferguson, Mangold, Willie Colon. Used to be with the Steelers, but
look at that protection. Look at the distance. That's like a third look to throw to the tight end Cumberland. Get them moving one way, running back cuts the other. And then just cut it right back again. Get the defense over-committing because they're worried about being blocked. Opens up a running lane.
2nd and 13. Smith with 8 straight completions, ties a career high, and up the middle. Johnson within 4 of a first. 3rd and 4 coming up.
Man, that looked like the Chris Johnson from Tennessee. Just scoots. Boom, boom. 3 little cuts. The footwork, awesome. I mean, I'm not saying this is being detrimental to him. Definitely not as fast as he used to be down in Tennessee, but still, even by NFL standards, he's fast.
That is fast. He's got 30 yards on the ground this quarter. 3rd and 4. Big play here for the Raiders defense. And Smith's in trouble and falls out.
He got it back, I think.
It was Mack who got to him.
Pressure by the defense. They came with it that time. A little blitz. And the Jets do not do a good job picking it up. And you're right, Mack knocks it out. Oh no, that's C.O. Moore.
C.O. Moore, Mack was in on that as well. But I'll tell you, the Smith recovery is probably a 3-point play right here, this effort. Because you're going to bring Falk out now for a field goal attempt from 42.
The Raiders getting a little aggressive at times on the defensive side.
Here's the kick from 42 yards out. It's good. Adding to the 45-yarder he had in the first quarter. But that's a win for that Raider defense.
No question. Keeps it within 1 score.
The Jets are held to a field goal. Once again, they have some red zone issues. They've had a drop in the end zone in the first quarter, a Geno fumble inside the 5, and that sack on 3rd down. Good kick here, giving Murray no chance. Out to the 20. Let's go down to Tracy.
Well, guys, you see Maurice Jones-Drew running onto the field right now. He sat out the last drive after taking a big hit from Quinton Poples on that first drive of the half. I was told it's not a concussion. He was just shaken up. Precautionary reasons kept him out. He's back out there now, guys.
All right, Tracy. Of course, he's been waiting for a couple of years to be healthy again.
Yep, he is healthy, but the problem is this Jets run defense is fantastic. Rex Ryan, what did he tell us on Friday? I hope they think they can try to run the football. Their defensive front, the way they play, they'll outnumber you near the line of scrimmage. Hard to run the football consistently against the Jets defense.
180! What's it?
Fake. Jones-Drew picks up the blitz. Carr rolls out, dumps it off to Jones-Drew. Makes the move near a first.
Well, Jim, let's just look at this run defense so far today. It's been fantastic. The defensive lineman, Damon Harrison, coming off the block. The two linebackers, Harris, Davis, stop a third down and short, and then Quentin Coples beats the pulling lineman to cause a fumble. Look at this.
That was a first down, by the way, for Jones-Drew.
Wildcat.
Yep, here they go with McFadden. He came out of the program at Arkansas that started that whole craze.
I'm not sure. I've forgotten. It's been so long. They call it the hog, the wild hog.
That's
or
it, something like that.
Yes, it was quite a backfield. I know that. Peyton Hillis was the original quarterback at Arkansas in their wild hog. He gets hurt. McFadden comes in and just had an unbelievable year running that offense.
That first down a play ago was the first by the Raiders in 21 minutes of action. They have 11 rushes in this game. Make that 12 now for 11 yards.
Watch it!
It's still only down 6. Pass caught. Streeter, and on him immediately is Darren Walls.
Yeah, it's a good thought, isn't it? You know, I thought, hey, they'll just block it up. They'll throw it outside to these receivers, and you can have a lot of good plans, but when you get out there in the field, you realize the Jets defense is big and strong. Hard to give the quarterback enough time to really challenge either one of these corners so far in this game.
Of course, Dennis Allen brought a team in here last December. They did run the football against the Jets, and I think he might have thought they could do it again.
Oh, yeah, I think they did.
3rd and 6 has not been the case. Carr sensing the pressure. Now taken up and running and lobs it out of bounds. Jason Babin was given chase.
Well, they got him again. The Jets just know how to time it. Here they come, 2 guys. They wait. Snap of the football. Calvin Pace is the late blitzer. Nobody there to pick him up. Jason Babin, very good edge rusher and fast, chases him out of the pocket.
King to punt it to Saunders, who's a rookie out of Oklahoma, but transferred from Fresno State. Here he is stepping up, making the catch at the 30. In fact, this young man right here, he's a speedster. We haven't seen it yet today, but he started at Fresno State and was a teammate of Derek Carr's before he went to Oklahoma. Good Saunders. Well, just a reminder, Week 1 NFL action continues later today on Fox. And then tonight at 8:30, you got the Colts and the Broncos, and then tomorrow night a Monday Night Football doubleheader on ESPN. Just a 35-yard punt. Final minute of the 3rd. Over to Curley. He's pushed back. Give him 2. Rodgers and Carey combine on the hit.
It's almost a quandary, I think, for the Jets offense. You look out there and you go, if you're playing like quarterback, you go, their team, I don't know if the Raiders can score any points unless you help them. So do you keep pushing it if you're the quarterback and the offensive coordinator, or do you play it safe?
That's the end of the 3rd quarter. Jets add a field goal in the 3rd to lead at 13-7. We'll return after this message and a word from your local station. Fast-moving game here at MetLife Stadium. Along with Bill Sims and Tracy Wilson, Jim Nance. You start the 4th quarter. And the Jets lead at 13-7. 2nd down. Smith takes the short throw over to Johnson, who's walloped by Moore. Give him a couple. 3rd down coming up. Well, you just feel like the Jets are in control of this game, but they're only up 6. And the Raiders have done nothing offensively since they had a short field after a Woodson interception. They took it in for a touchdown with a pass from Carr to Streeter. The toss on 3rd down. Chris Johnson through traffic. Stop short as Woodson really kind of forced that play.
Yeah, he did. If you make, on a play like that, 3rd and 6, it goes outside. If you make him make one little move or cut, then the reinforcements will be there, and that's what the Raiders did that time. Pretty conservative call, too, for the Jets. They're protecting Geno Smith well to go with that run on 3rd and 6.
pressure on Quigley. He's got another beautiful punt. Ooh, tough catch. I don't know why you're trying to field that at the 5 like that. The rookie took a real chance with it after a 56-yard punt. Dennis Allen's team have a long field to work with as they've seen the Jets squander some opportunities.
Yeah, it's been there all day for the Jets. And here's another one on the defensive side, an interception that maybe goes for a touchdown. But the missed passes, Geno Smith has had a lot of good plays today, but there's been a couple passes that got away that could have made this margin much bigger.
Carr from the end zone. And that one is tipped at the line of scrimmage. Wilkerson.
Yeah, he's got getting in the backfield against one of his old teammates, Austin Howard. Penetration, raising those arms, not much a quarterback can do. Muhammad Wilkerson moves all over the field. He'll play left end, he'll play in the middle, he'll play the right end. You never know where he's going to line up.
2nd and 10. Here they come. Ball is again tipped at the line, and was Wilkerson for the 2nd straight play getting a hand on it.
Boy, that's being alert. It's a good thing that Derek Carr gets rid of this football quick. They are coming free. Oh, that time it was the inside. Sheldon Richardson. But again, Muhammad Wilkerson read the block by the tackle, saw the quarterback, and adjusted what he was doing.
Third and 10, and the Jets crowd is stirred.
Delay a game. Offense. Number 4. The penalty's half the distance to the goal.
What a danger spot this is for a rookie quarterback. What will Dennis Allen and this team go with? Greg Olson, the coordinator.
I think the Raiders, Jim, I was trying to figure out what went on. I couldn't hear it. Did they call the timeout?
They're saying the Jets, you can see.
Oh, it was the Jets that called the timeout.
Now it's going to be switched over, and it's going to be a charge timeout to the Raiders. The signal on the field had been in the Jets' direction.
The Jets, yes. Pretty important timeout. I know you're backed up. You're only going to lose a couple yards, but that was a big timeout to burn for the Raiders.
Let's check out this kid's moxie in a situation like this. Unloads it in a hurry. And excellent wrap-up coverage by Antonio Allen on James Jones. Converted from safety to corner for this game, and he's made some plays.
Yeah, he really has. He's played well. They're not threatened on the outside. This is a good job knowing the situation. 3rd and long, play it back, play it safe, and he reads it, and you said it, nice tackle. Probably why the Jets, conservative call on 3rd down, put the pressure on the Raiders' offense.
They need King to uncork a punt like he had many times a year ago. And he does. His best of the day to the 30. It's Saunders. And he is smashed at the 44. That was Oakland's 5th 3-and-out of the game. 61-yard punt. And the Jets are at near midfield, leading by 6. How about the Raiders in this half? 13 plays, minus 2 yards of offense, and 1 first down. but still down one score as the Jets on first down take it out for a quick 6 or 7 with Chris Johnson, who in this half has gone over 10,000 career scrimmage yards and over 8,000 yards rushing.
Yeah, I talked about it early. You know, Chris Johnson screens outside. Well, boy, they're keeping him in here for this inside running game, and he's done an excellent job.
On 2nd and 3, going back the other way, and Decker's got a blocker in front, and he takes off down to the 27. That's D'Brickashaw Ferguson, who cleared a path for Decker for 22.
Well, he's so athletic. Number 60, D'Brickashaw Ferguson, gets outside, gets the block on Carlos Rogers, and that was a nice call. They had him caught inside, thinking run, so the outside screen, all they needed was that one block to pick up big yards.
The 9-year veteran clearing the way for that big gainer, and Smith has a career best 11 consecutive completions. And looking for another one, he's got it. Amaro with his second catch, the rookie from Texas Tech, who set an NCAA record last year for a tight end with 106 grabs.
Well, you talked about Geno Smith. Really, so many good things to see in this game today. Yeah, he fumbled, got it back, the interception, the lost fumble, but a lot of good footwork, running well, and I like what they've done on offense. A lot of plays that are easy for the quarterback, especially those screens.
2nd and 7, cut back, and stretching it out to the 20 is Chris Johnson.
Now, I'm sure as they call the play into Geno Smith, the situation is told to him real quick. Field goal is golden here.
Oh, yeah.
Total yards, Chris Johnson more than the Raiders.
Raiders under 100 for the game.
I know they got a rookie quarterback for the Raiders, but this Jet defense has just dominated the rest of the team physically.
3rd and 3. And Smith is going to be taken out of field goal range. And a flag is out.
Yeah, it's going to be holding too.
Tyvon Branch, C.O.
Holding.
Moore.
Offense, number 85. That penalties declined. The result of the play is a 4th down.
Oh, you talk about a play that just kept the Raiders in the game. This is it.
Jeff Cumberland, tight end on the line of scrimmage, cannot be quick enough to get back and get a blitzing linebacker. I hate those protections. And then Geno Smith, you have to know the situation.
Yeah.
What I said was said in his headphone must not have been told, because you feel pressure, you throw that thing out of bounds, down the field, whatever you have to do.
You can't lose 19 at this point of the game with a 2-score lead. The other offense has done nothing. Probably be enough. So they have to punt. It hits at the goal line, and that's another mistake. A net of 19. This one play gives Oakland hope. Tyvon Branch celebrating. After the touchback, the Raiders at the 9:50 mark. Held to only 78 yards of offense, but down only 6.
One play away.
There's the pass incomplete. A little behind Denarius Moore. If you only lose like 10 yards here on this sack, you still got a chance for the field goal and the 2-score lead.
Watch what happens. This is a Buddy Ryan back with the Bears. 2 linebackers, then the safety blitz. And no matter what the Jets do, they are not going to pick it up. You got to know pre-snap alignment, that it's when they crowd the line of scrimmage, always know as a quarterback, hey, what's I tell you? Could be a blitz. Got to react faster.
2nd and 10. And Jones-Drew has been held in check, loses another yard. As Kyle Wilson took him one-on-one. By the way, since the touchdown, again off the Woodson pick, punt, then a kneel down. Look at all these 3-and-outs in here. Jones-Drew, by the way, now 8 carries, minus a yard.
I didn't even get to talk about this today. The Raiders in preseason and the way they're originally designed on the offensive side probably throw it down the field as much or more than any team in the league, but no chance to do that so far here today.
Haven't seen anything like it. Open is Moore. Needs to make the move for the first.
What a play.
Oh, that is some play. That is, again, Antonio Allen.
It is Antonio Allen against the receiver. The blitz, they're coming. They got it. Look at the space out there, and what a job. He squares up, spreads his arms, just like they teach it, and gets it done. Didn't go for the big hit and missing. Made the tackle short of the first down.
It's another 3 and out. And the Raiders have missed on their last 7 third down attempts.
Boy.
Big spiral here by King. And Saunders grabs hold of it at the 20. 45-yard boost.
When he hits it well.
We all celebrate being back as a family out here, our CBS Sports football team. But we are mourning the loss this summer. Mark Bockham, who was such an integral part of everything we did, our video supervisor, worked many Super Bowls and Masters, passed away this summer. He's certainly in our thoughts here today. He lived in the East Bay area. Here are the Jets running and breaking free. It's Ivory. Ivory with a foot race. Ivory is all the way home for the touchdown. Yards, Chris Ivory.
When you have 3 running backs who can share what's going on, fresh legs, Chris Ivory. Oh, what was he doing there?
A little early on the celebration.
That is unbelievable. Maybe, well, but he breaks the tackle. Nice cut. Still fresh.
That was at the 35 when he made the gesture. Like,
oh, and look, he almost gets brought down.
Yeah.
You could have been brought down, a fumble, stopped at the 1. Many things could have happened. That takes the joy out of scoring a touchdown, making that kind of gesture.
they're going to go for 2.
Yep.
19-7, they're going for 2.
They're up 12. So kicking 1 to the 12. They want to go to 2 touchdowns, of course, so there's nothing to lose if you don't get it.
And stopped short. David Nelson is stopped short. Rodgers with the tackle. But what a burst. A career long it is. Ivory, 71 yards and the touchdown. Well, it's been a long time since the Jets had a touchdown run of outside of 20 yards. In fact, it's been since 2011.
You told me that, and I said that can't be true. That's some stat, but what a good job of breaking the tackle and getting in the end zone by Chris Ivory. Was they got to make that correction? You know, you celebrate when you get there. Almost got caught because he raised that left arm in celebration before he got to the end zone.
Murray's going to come out with it. Runs into a pile at the 17. Yeah, the last time the Jets had a touchdown run outside of 20, Sean Green at Washington. 36 games ago. The last time the Jets rushed for a touchdown of 20 plus. It was the longest drought in the NFL, and here's how Ivory did it.
Nice cut, breaks the tackle of Carey. And then you got a defense that's been out there a lot. They're tired.
Carr and in the direction of Streeter.
And Muhammad Wilkerson came from the right side of the defense, cutting across the field, and had a chance to get that interception.
Carr grew up a Raider fan, and we said, who was your favorite Raider quarterback of all time? I thought I was going to hear maybe LaMonica, Stabler,
Jim Plunkett,
George Blanda, Rich Gannon. Backpedaling and dumping it off. Trying to get his balance. It's McFadden for 6.
Well, Rich Gannon's a good guy to look up to.
No question.
He ran that offense with such precision. Really, I think, Jim, one of the first quarterbacks that was making sure he never ran a play that wasn't going to work against the defense. So he went up there with multiple plays, did a lot of checking off, all that kind of stuff, which we see is very common in the NFL now.
As I realize he wasn't around for some of the old greats of the Raiders, but if he knew his history, but he has a relationship, by the way, with Daryle Lamonica, who's from that Fresno Clovis area. The old Matt Bama, quarterback of the Raiders of yesteryear. Here's Carr on 3rd down, and there's a good pass. Hold on, whistle though. It was Rivera with the grab, and there was a flag.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, number 89, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
James Jones, wide receiver, moved.
He's had 2 catches in this game for 4 yards.
Could not hear the whistle, so got to give the crowd a lot of credit. Making it even tougher for this Oakland Raiders offense.
Carr 15 of 25 for 90 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks.
Break!
Got a 3rd and 9. Yeah, I thought that was going to be the first pick. As Kyle Wilson jumped in front, got a flag down in the backfield.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Number 97 defense, blow to the quarterback's head. That's a 15-yard penalty and an automatic 1st down.
Calvin Pace will give the Raiders a new set of downs.
Well, any hit to the quarterback's head with force. So Calvin Pace, there it is. I would say that's with force. It's late, and he didn't have to do it. That was a good call.
Timeout called by the Raiders. Now they're saying timeout Jets. We're heading to Baltimore right after this one. Flacco and the Ravens been struggling today against Cincinnati. Pittsburgh trying to tune up for this one on Cleveland as we debut Thursday night football down at Baltimore on Thursday night. Look forward to having all of you with us on CBS and NFL Network. By the way, Pittsburgh was up like 24-3, and that game is now tied at 27. So, what a comeback. Mike Pettine's crew in his debut as the Browns coach. 1st down, inside 7 minutes to go. Wide receiver screens, and more again. Excellent open field tackling by Allen and others of the Jets secondary. We were talking about Rich Gannon. This is week 1 starters for the Raiders since Rich in 04. And you can see they, of course, drafted 1 overall, Russell, prior supplemental pick, Derek Carr, but they've had this 17th different quarterback overall to start a game since Rich. Lobs this one, takes something off of it, and unable to get under it is James Jones, and they got the flag. Carr's going to get his wish.
Pass interference, defense, number 30. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul, automatic 1st down.
Down the field, Darren Walls. That's what nice job by Darren Walls. That's pass interference, but he was fooled. That was a good move, a little double move. Caught him by surprise. Don't give up the touchdown. Give up the penalty yards.
16-yard penalty, and they'll run it. to the Jet side of the field. It's been a while since they were in Jet territory. McFadden for 3.
But Jim, go back to what you said earlier. You know, just Antonio Allen making the tackles, the Jets giving up no extra yards today. Kind of reminds you of how the Seattle Seahawks have played defense for the last couple years.
Off the right. Set. Cut.
2nd and 7. And that pass had some heat on it in the direction of Streeter. We've got an update on that Steelers-Browns contest. Back to James Brown in New York.
Cleveland showing some poise.
What a second half. They were down 27-3 at halftime. They're going to tie it up here. Brian Hoyer right here. 9 yards to Travis Benjamin into the back of the end zone right there. Cleveland goes on to kick the extra point, 27-27. Beginning of the fourth quarter, Brian Hoyer looking great here in the second half.
Last Cleveland season opening win back in 04. Back to Jim, Phil, and Tracy.
All right, and Hoyer, kind of like what we documented with Carr. Look at all the different quarterbacks that have started for the Browns. The 20th one. Here's Carr in trouble, and he is taken down. It's Babin with the sack.
Well, he just waits a little too long before he moves that time, Derek Carr. The pressure's going to come from this side, and then once the running back, Darren McFadden, 20, he goes down to cut the defender. That's Jason Babin that gets underneath to make the sack.
They're going to go for it. They're going to go for it on 4th and 14 with 5 minutes remaining. Down a couple of scores. Yeah,
I agree with this. It's time to take the chance. You got it near midfield.
And the Raiders had to take a timeout. They signaled timeout Oakland.
I think they're going to reset it, Jim. The officials there.
I think they're not going to charge him the timeout. They're going to reset the play clock.
Please reset the 25-second play clock to 25. We were trying to reset the play clock before it expired due to a problem setting the ball. There's no charged timeout.
I keep hearing his mic. It makes me think, is there a lot of wind on the field? But it's not. The flags, nothing's moving. But you think, okay, 4th and long, why are they going for it? You're 2 scores down. You are near midfield. Your defense is tired. The Jets haven't moved it at will, but they've moved it very well today.
Give it.
Yeah, you may not see it again.
Can you block them, though, to give the quarterback a chance?
Got to get to the 41. We got another flag. It'll be 4th and 19. It's going against the Raiders.
Yep, now he's going to
Ball
punt.
start. Offense. Number 69. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
'69, Khalif Barnes at the edge, just a little flinch.
It's the 9th punt of the game by King. And it only goes to the 20. We got Thursday night football coming up, and then next Sunday back into the doubleheader business. Early, many are going to see New England on the road for the 2nd straight week at Minnesota. And the main national game will be in Denver with the Chiefs and the Broncos, all starting at noon Eastern. The JB and the crew. Tony and the coach, Bart and Boomer. And that all starts next Sunday at noon Eastern time with the NFL Today, a doubleheader day on CBS.
Well, real quick, New England going to Minnesota. Mike Zimmer, the new coach of the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know what they're doing today, but that defense of theirs, I think it's going to be pretty good, and they're going to be able to really rush the passer. Jets just looking for 1 first down.
There's a Quick 4 for Johnson.
And the Raiders now, Jim, you need 2 scores. So the Raiders defense, this is where you dare the offense to pass. You crowd the line of scrimmage, you put extra defenders up there, you play run all the way.
Second and 6. And Ivory into a bunch of bodies. By the way, the Jets are going into the NFC North the next 3 weeks and going against Rodgers and Cutler and Stafford. And then they'll be going against Rivers, Peyton, Tom Brady on a Thursday night game on CBS and NFL Network. I mean, these quarterbacks that are lined up after this one, and that secondary, which, well, today has done some good things. But they've got the Mount Rushmore of active quarterbacks coming up. As Ivory is pushed back, and the Raiders will see the football again.
Yeah, everybody talks about that, and I understand it. You look at those quarterbacks, what the Jets have to play, but even with these beat-up corners the Jets have, this defense, it's pretty good. It's clever. It's pretty unique in this day and age where they're not afraid to blitz in just about any situation. Rex Ryan, of course, loves that. Hard to run against them, so you better be able to protect the throw well.
Raiders left with 1 timeout. We were talking to Rex on Friday about that last month of the season. A year ago, they won 3 out of 4. Gino did some good things. At that stage of the season, you always hear coaches say, we're playing to really get something going for next year. Then the next year comes up, and a lot of times they don't bring that back up again. And wait a minute, I thought you told me this was important. But he said it really was crucial to this team.
Taught them how to win. Gave them confidence. I believe it did. Gave Geno Smith a lot of confidence going into the offseason.
That's Quigley's punt to Carey. Jay Carey. Sandwiched at the 26. 52-yard boot. By the way, coming up this afternoon on CBS Sports, the U.S. Open Women's Finals. Serena Williams goes for her 3rd straight U.S. Open title against Caroline Wozniacki. And tomorrow at 5 Eastern, the men's final. Marin Cilic and Kanisha Ikori. Williams, Wozniacki, Caroline seeking her first career Grand Slam singles title, and that's coming up next on CBS.
Hold on. Set. Cut.
Martin zips it. And he's going to have about a 7-yard gain to Rivera. That puts the Oakland offense now at 94 yards. Marquette King has punted the football for 401 yards. Not the kind of numbers you're looking to post. As Carr has no option but to throw it away and escape Richardson.
Nobody open to throw the football to, and then also just worried about the push that they're getting. Covered, very well covered. Pushing off the receivers to the next guy. There's a safety there ready for the receiver, James Jones on the outside.
The Raiders kept 5 receivers. They've got Bryce Butler inactive today. Don't know that they have a game breaker on the outside. On 3rd and 1, they go ahead and pick up the first as Jones Drew is tossed down by Landry at the 47. We'll have a first down coming out of the 2-minute warning near midfield. Down 19-7. Matt Schaub backing up Carr today. Sore arm after the third preseason game, gave Carr the chance to really show something that last preseason game, and they went with him after trading for Schaub in the offseason from Houston.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. You feel bad for Matt Schaub, but, you know, Dennis Allen said of course he was upset when he told him that they were going to go with Derek Carr, but he handled it well, like a pro, and, you know, that's all you can do. Just act the right way. It's a long year in the NFL. Matt Schaub knows that. And somewhere along the line, they're most likely going to have to call upon him.
Mike 52, break.
That run before the 2-minute warning, the 12-yard run by Jones drew the longest rush of the game for the Raiders, as Rivera takes it down to the 42. That's close to the first down spot.
You look at this now, the Raiders, of course, this game is not over. 2 scores. Be a little methodical. Give yourself a good chance. See if you can score. Then just, of course, hope you get the onside kick.
Here's Rivera again. And that low tackle by Pryor sends Rivera to the sideline. Another 13 picked up on that one. The timeout called by Oakland.
That's their last timeout. That's a good timeout too. Save the time. Now, you know, Jim, as an offense, you look and you call plays, looking to drive the football down the field. And Derek Carr, if you get a chance, if the window's tight, take that chance to go for the score.
What have you thought of Derek Carr's performance here?
There's no complaints by me for what he's done here today.
Should the Raider Nation be feeling pretty good about?
Well, they're not going to feel good about Derek Carr. They're going to be mad if they lose this game. But yes, I think there's nothing to dislike. He's got all the qualities you want in an NFL starting quarterback.
Keep it.
Mentally, but most importantly, in my eyes, physically.
First and 10. He's taking a shot here. And the ball is caught for a touchdown. What a catch by James Jones. Out battling Darren Walls.
He had Darren Walls pinned to the sideline. And what a job going up. He's got him pinned. Walls can't get inside. Does he make the catch?
Oh, and look at the effort to get the second foot down.
Oh, he did.
Amazing grab by Jones. Look at the one-handed and then the effort to get both feet in. The former Packer has the touchdown.
Greg Olsen, the offensive coordinator, said there's no doubt he has the best hands of the receivers. And he lived up to that right here. But what a play. Now that gives the Raiders everything they wanted. The quick score, now they can go for the onside kick and still have some time if they get fortunate to recover.
And they're just checking to make sure he had control all the way to the ground. And he does. James Jones and Derek Carr actually have some history together. They shared the same receiving coach in college. Jones, of course, years earlier at San Jose State. Keith Williams, who was later on the Fresno staff, and Jones used to come down and work out with the former coach down at Fresno State when Carr was just a kid in college.
That's right.
They were very familiar when Carr came through the draft and Jones came by free agency. There's Greg Olsen, his offensive coordinator.
Well, they're looking at this. I thought he definitely had control and both feet down.
You're still taking a look at it.
There's catch. Gets control of the football. Has it. Definitely did not get away from him. Didn't use the ground to make the catch.
I don't see anything here that could be overturned.
Possession, left foot, right foot, then the left foot.
Mike Carey is back in the studio, our rules expert. What do you see, Mike?
Phil, I think you had it nailed. We have a textbook touchdown catch. All the elements were met. Control, 2 feet down, maintain control as he went to the ground. A good score. This play will be confirmed.
Thank you, Mike.
Right, thank you, Mike.
We'll see you down in Baltimore. You'll be in the booth with us on Thursday night. There for any needed rules explanations.
The ruling on the field stands. It is a touchdown.
Well, now Dennis Allen is already trying to figure out, can we figure out a way to how to recover an onside kick? Because that hasn't worked out in a long time. Janikowski's failed on his last 17 onside kick attempts.
That's what he's thinking. The Jets on the other side can't believe they're in this situation. That it's come down to this.
Not that it's entirely Janikowski's fault at all, in fact. And the Raiders haven't done it in a while, and we're going to be setting up for one here in a moment. Carr has 2 touchdown passes. They gave it a shot, and they got it from 30 yards out.
Now the Raiders, we did their 3rd preseason game, and all they talk to us is about the wide receivers, how nobody's making those plays. And then we saw them in the 4th exhibition game make them, and they made a few good catches here today. Just not a lot of opportunities because of the Jets' defense. But the Jets played one-on-one to the outside, so that gave James Jones a chance to make this catch. And it was spectacular. I mean, Walls, he's in position the whole way. The ball's in the air. He's probably thinking, I'm in a good spot, but he can never get in front of Jones to break up the pass.
Okay, so here we go. I mean, the Raiders with 1:21 to go, trying to do something that they haven't done since December of 2008. And as I mentioned, 17 straight onside kickoff attempts have not been recovered by the Oakland side. Time with that, and Salas right into his arms, falls on it, catches it, and falls to the ground.
Good kick by Janikowski, really well done, but you got to give the credit to the Jets. Watch the blocking up front. Watch this line, all the blocks, they just stalemate them. They attack, and that gives Salas, look at the space he has to make the catch before a defender gets there. That is textbook. Well, the Jets going to be happy, of course, to get out of this game with the win. A lot of good stuff on both sides of the ball, but a lot of things, of course, they're going to coach and correct and move forward.
Rex is going to go to 5-1 on opening day. And the Raiders are going to go now to 14 consecutive losses in the Eastern time zone and 1-11 on opening day in their last 12.
I just was watching Rex Ryan just shaking his head. Hey, they made it difficult here today. Lose a game like this where they physically dominated so many areas. If you lose a game like this, Jim, it really is. All losses are heartbreaking, but when you dominate physically in the NFL, you expect to win.
And that's going to do it. Ivory's 71-yard touchdown run in this 4th quarter. The Raiders are held to 158 total yards, and that's with a lot of it coming on that last drive. That's their fewest total for the Raiders in a game since '09. So there we go. Clock hits 0, the final score. The Jets 19, the Raiders 14. Coming up next, an NFL Today update with bonus coverage of the Patriots and Dolphins. For Phil Simms and Tracy Wolfson, Jim Nantz saying so long from the Meadowlands. You've been watching the NFL on CBS, and we'll join James Brown in New York after this.